Aloha gang, Dr.Russ Rosen here. You will see I am not actually going live because for the third time in a row, Facebook is not allowing me to go live. Not sure what's going on. It just keeps having that blue circle saying going live. Any of you are close friends with Zuck, if you could ask him to do me a favor and fix that, I'd sure appreciate it. That'd be really wonderful. So here we are. It's January 6th, 2026. I'm still trying to figure out how we got into the 2000s, let alone 2026. It's beyond me. Um, in the last several weeks, we've been dealing with how to run a business and build a dream team, how to hire, how to do performance appraisals, how to do bonuses and meetings, etc. Today, we're going to be talking about some of the nuances and specifics about building, how to train your team and keep them trained. We're here 3 Tuesdays a month, supposed to be live. If it doesn't go live, I just record it and put it up here like I am today. Um, if you would like to go into much more detail where we go in Zoom and have a discussion and I answer any and all of your questions, just go ahead and put club below. I'll give you a free month in the club. And you'll see that here I'm giving you the basic overview and concepts, and in there we're going to an extreme detail on each of these subjects. Um, so today we're going to be talking about the system to train your team members, and in essence, it's to not only train them but keep them trained. We don't kid ourselves that just because we trained them on something once that they own it forever. No one does. So, um, I know that all of us want to serve as many people as possible. We want to be able to do it with the most ease and most joy and make the most money in that process. But so many of us have had really horrific experiences with staff and training staff. We've been talking a lot about that in our last 3 classes. The reality with our staff is they may not know how to do the job well at all. They just may not know how to do it. They may not have the right skill set. Um, they don't know how to type. They don't have good communication skills. They have a bad attitude. They have a bad personality, etc. They may just be the wrong person for the position, right? You've got an outgoing, expressive person and they're back doing billing and collections, or you've got an analytical up at the front desk. They might be the right person, but we just did not train them well. That's really common. And as we talked about in the performance appraisal systems, we're always looking at behaviors or attitudes as well as tasks, procedures. So they can type really well and they have a really good attitude. So both of those things are really critical. Um, so often we, as the doctor owners, have really never taken the time to train them in their position. And if we did, we don't take the time to keep them trained. That's a new concept for most of us. Um, so we have had staff members quit, and we really don't know quite how to do the job ourselves. So we don't know how to go ahead and train them, or we do know how to do the job. We just don't feel that we have time to accurately train them. We just throw them to the sharks and sink or swim. Or even worse, we have a team member who's leaving who really doesn't know the job, where they do know the job. They just have a really bad attitude and hate your guts and have nothing but terrible things to say about you in the business. And we have them train them, right? So those are some of the things that happen. And it's just a little cyanide in the soup, just a little cyanide in the soup when we've got someone with a bad attitude who's doing the training. Um, if we're going to have staff, and I do coach doctors who do not have staff, and that's fine. But if you're going to have staff, you want to do it right. If your goal is to serve the most patients you could possibly serve with the most ease and the most fun, then really we got to get to the point that the doctor does what only the doctor can do. And everything else is done by a really good, competent paraprofessional. So that's if we're going to have a team, that's what we want to accomplish. Again, if you haven't seen the last three modules, go to the guides section and take a look at the last three that we've done. That's where we've been talking about team. I take it back the last four. And again, if you want to go into great detail, put club below and we will go ahead and send you a free month where you can see full hour discussions where we go into exponentially more detail. So if if uh, if we're going to do it, we've got to delegate effectively if we're going to be that successful. There's an axiom in the coaching world, which is to automate as much as you can, delegate as much as you can, and then replicate yourself. Replicating yourself might be bringing on an associate kind of thing. I had a really interesting experience many, many years ago with a doctor in New Zealand who I just love and adore. This is many years ago, but we just communicated about a month or two ago. She's just such a fun human being. But she was telling me that she had a big team. It wasn't going well. She was really frustrated with them. And she was just saying, I can't get them to do anything. I can't trust them to do anything. I can't delegate anything to them. They just don't do it. And the very next day, she went over the handlebars of her bicycle. She was a pretty serious cyclist, and she broke both her wrists. And she was saying, it's amazing how much I can now delegate. She couldn't adjust, she couldn't type, she couldn't make food, she couldn't wipe herself. Like she literally had cast two broken wrists. It was an eye-opening experience for her. And from that, we went in and we revamped her entire team, got rid of a few, got the rest of them up to speed. And she had a really wonderful team after that. Hopefully, you don't have to have that experience to recognize you can too. Um, so you can delegate, you just need to train them really well. But you also need to continually train. It's the third time I've said that. We'll be diving into more detail about what I mean by that in just a second. So, last time we were talking about the performance appraisal system, which helped us come up with setting new objectives, which allowed us to figure out how to train our team, what to train our team on. Um, so, we recommend regular basic training sessions. We have a regular meeting once a week going over our brag session, not our rag session, which is the objectives that we set, the quarterly objectives. And then I said I would get this done between last week and this week, and I did. Now I'll do this between this week and next week, etc. We talked about that last week, but we also are going to have a basic training meeting. 20 minutes a week is all it takes, where somebody on the team or everybody, depending upon how you're running it, is going to train the rest of the crew on something they do, how to answer their phones, etc. So, again, I'll be going into more detail about that in just a second. So, if you think about practicing, if you think about regular training, if did you play any sports? Did you play any music or do dance? If you did, you practiced if you were good. And when you went from junior high to high school, you practiced even more. And high school to college, you practiced even more. Like the better you get, the more you practice, right? So you're a chiropractor, a naturopath, an osteopath, a acupuncturist. You need to practice. I do this with doctors all the time where we nail visit one, we role play it, we listen to live ones, visit two, etc. And it's perfect. Within 90 days, it's no longer perfect if you haven't practiced it. It's just how it is. Fire department, how often did they train? I got a buddy I used to skydive with a lot. He's one of my dearest friends. And I've done coaching for him at his drop zone. Every single year, I just talked to him. Every single year, and their cash, have made more money than the year before, even during 2020. Um, but when when he sometimes he flies the plane, he'll do 13, 14 loads. So he goes up, they jump out, he beats them down, right? And then he picks up the next load. And I'm sitting there watching him go through his checklist for the plane. And I'm going, dude, you were just up there. Like, why are you rechecking? And he goes, because if I don't, people die. It's like, okay, fair enough. So we've got to train and we have to continually train. If we successfully do this, we can grow the practice without being on the roller coaster. We can sustain growth. Yeah, there will be ups and downs, but it'll be at a 45-degree angle. If everyone's doing a great job, remember this, we've talked about this in every single session. If everyone's doing a great job, what's going to happen to the practice? It's going to grow. If the practice grows, will your present system support your future growth? No, it can't. So we're always reorganizing, making space, and filling that space. Reorganize and make space, fill that space. So we're always having to look at through the performance appraisal and setting up objectives like we talked about last week, the very specific things that we need to be upgrading and reorganizing and getting better at and training on those things, right? There are some things that this is just how you do it, it's how you answer the phone, but I want to keep it perfect. I'm going to train on it at least every 90 days. Okay. So, um, again, if you think about it, if you're seeing, say, 30 people a day right now, and depending upon your kind of practice, that may be a lot, that may be nothing, but I'm just picking a number out of the blue. If you're at 30 people a day, can your staff handle that? And you go, yeah, we're pretty full, but it feels good. Could you do 300 people a day? No, you couldn't. You'd have to add. You'd have to reorganize, add more people, more space, more parking space, more, computers or phone systems, more doctors, more staff, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So we're always reorganizing, we're always training, we're always retraining. When our team members perform better, it leads to happier teams, it leads to happier patients, and it leads to our staff that is really happy that stay, and we don't have that miserable turnover. So again, we want to train and continue to train. If we don't, we'll continually have problems. It's just what's going to happen. Team is unhappy, patients are unhappy. You cannot sustain growth. You're just Groundhog Day of practice grows and crashes, practice grows and crashes. So this particular concept I want to go over with you is about how to train and continually train. Excuse me. It is clearer than ever how important it is to have a system in place for our office so that it can run like a well-oiled machine. Without it, you're doomed to mediocrity at best. I've talked a lot about this in every one of these classes. The book, The E-Myth, revisited by Michael Gerber for chiropractors. There's one for chiropractors and physicians. I implore you to read that book. So if you've read them, you understand how crucial it is to have a brilliant system in place. And part of that is that you can take an average human being and apply a brilliant system and end up with a brilliant practice. If you need to have a brilliant person in each position, you can't go to scale, right? If you think that, if you were to look at McDonald's, and I'm not talking about the quality of the food, but the business, if they needed a five-star Michelin chef at every single McDonald's, they couldn't go to scale. So your systems are critical. We've talked about 85% of all new businesses in America go under in the first year, in the first 5 years, but 5% of franchises go under in the first 5 years. Why is that? Why is that? Because they have brilliant systems. Okay. And part of that systems is training and constant retraining. So my goal is for you to create a perfect system and to do that over a year. And yeah, it takes time. It takes time to have that perfect system, but once you got it, you got it. And the system just runs perfectly. So not only do we need to make sure that we're fully implementing the systems, but that we also need to make sure that it's all added to the training manual. And I'll show you exactly where we do that. But I always want the training manual kept up to speed. I want a training manual and a training video. So in the training manual, you type stuff up, but you could have the person record them as if they were training someone or them doing it, and then just hyperlink that video right there so people can watch it and read it. And when you change it because you're growing and evolving and reorganizing, you change that also. So if someone leaves, you're not in trouble, right? So many of us are held hostage by an unhappy or a unproductive staff member because we're afraid to let them go. We don't know what to do. We don't know what they're doing. Whereas if you've got a training manual, et cetera, they can go, you bring somebody else in, have them learn, and then meet with them and customize it and help them integrate it. Okay, so obviously, we need to implement the entire dream team, which we've been talking about. You got to learn how to hire, have the bonus system in place, regular staff meetings, performance appraisals, all that kind of stuff, bonuses. Um, but with that said, we need to know how to train. So, Um, for us, there's a ton to it, and I've talked a lot about a lot of this, but I'm just going to quick review. So we are going to look at our business frame. We're going to get clear about our vision, mission, vision, purpose. We're going to enroll others in our vision. If they aren't enrolled in our vision, we don't bring them on as staff because it won't work. We create the systems that are going to create and support the vision, right? We've been talking a lot about that. Um, in my system two, module two, it's all about a system two altogether, 5 different modules. It's all about creating the system. How do you do it? I also work very closely with Kim Clapp of the ACE program. She's at chiropracticassistance.com, and I love her. I love working with her. Um, you got to make sure that your training manual is up to date, as I had talked about. Um, and if you're doing that, you've got the best chance of this working. We need to manage by delegation. I take it back. We need to manage by objectives. We're not going to manage by and delegating. We're not going to manage by abdication. Get this done, see in 90 days. We're not going to micromanage. And then that's just a quick overview. And now we get to the training. How do we do the training? So we're going to be going into great detail about this in the club. This is the form that we use. I have an example form of this with, all the different kinds of things you might train somebody on. When we're figuring this out, we're prioritizing. Like day one, they need to learn how to do this. Sharpen pencils. No, we can wait on that. How to greet somebody, how to answer the phone, how to take money, how to schedule, how to reschedule. Like those are really important things. So we're going to prioritize the things that they need to train upon. And then we're going to make sure that we go through this in great detail, which we're going to touch on now again in the club. And you can put club below. We're going to have a discussion about this in detail and help you in every aspect for yourself. So give me 1 second on this. Okay. So what we need to do is let's say we're going to talk about somebody answering the phones. Okay. So we put task answering the phones. The first question is, do you have a manual and video on this? The answer is yes or no. I do have a manual or I don't have a manual and video on this. The second question is, what is the date I'm training them on how to do this? So today's January 6th, and I'm training them how to answer the phone. The next thing is TM how. So team member. Have I gone through how to answer the phone? Now, I know you're saying, well, of course I did. Hang in there with me. The next column is TM why. Why do we answer the phone this way? So when I have people answer the phone, I have them stand on their right foot and face the east and cross their eyes when they answer the phone. Well, if I try and get them to do that without telling them why I want them to do that, they're not going to continue to do it. But if they understand why they face the east, stand on one foot and cross their eyes, then they've got a better chance of doing it. So in essence, if I want them to smile when they answer the phone, and why would I want them to smile? Yes, because people feel the warm fuzzies on the other end. I need to not just show them how, but I need to make sure they understand why we're doing it this way. Now, once we've done that, I want to be able to sign off that they can kind of do it on their own. So we're going to train them on it. They watch the video, they read the manual, They come back ready with questions and ready to train with me or my office manager or whoever is doing it. If they show up unprepared, I'm going to give them one chance. You know, what happened? We used the action plan for improvement form, which we talked about last week. And if they don't come back prepared next time, they're gone, right? But assuming they do come back prepared, now I can make sure that we've helped them customize it and integrate it. Look, anytime anyone's learning anything from a video and a manual, they're going to have blind spots. They're going to miss pieces. So training them is a lot like, asking a kid, teaching a kid to count to five. One, two, four, five. What'd you miss? Three. Okay, one, two, three, four, five. So I've got to be able to point out the things they're missing, but I'm not showing them how to do everything. Now, if you don't have a manual and you don't have a video, don't worry about it. You're going to train them right this time. And then you're going to see as soon as I can sign off that they now have it mastered. So today I can sign off that they can kind of do it on their own. And then 3 days from now, I can sign off that they have mastered it. They're now the owner of this position. They now own this position. They own how to answer phones. So who makes the manual and video, you or them? They do. Why? Because they own it. They are the master of it. So they type it up. Remember, I had Mrs. Gillette. She was such a wonderful teacher in geometry. And she said, if you can't come up in front of the class and teach the others, then you don't understand it. Well, that's true. So they need to be able to train you. They need to be able to type it up. They need to be able to make a video and prove that this is it. Now that's it. That's it. It's in stone until, remember, performance appraisals. As you're growing, that may become a challenge. We need to reorganize, make things different. Then we retrain on that, make a new video on that. And then the most important piece that no one ever does is the retrain. So the last column is the next date. When is the next time that we're going to retrain on this? So if it's something they just learned, we might retrain on it in a week or tomorrow. Like, I got to see they got it. Maybe 2 weeks, we'll recheck, maybe a month, but nothing goes longer than 90 days. Don't kid yourself. Nothing goes longer than 90 days. So during our 20-minute weekly basic training meetings, I'm putting down, 90 days from today, we're going to retrain on how to answer the phone. So the week before 90 days, we take a look, we just did our meeting, and now I'm going to look at what are we going to work on next week. So I know I need to now, me being the CA, I'm going to train everybody on how to answer the phone. So cross training, I own it. I'm going to review all of that to make sure I'm doing everything right, because within 90 days, they're probably missing something. Make sense? So I hope you see the value of really training your team well. And I hope you see the value of continuing to train your team. If you'd like this list, go ahead and put club below. Thursday at 11, we'll be discussing this. Of course, I post those if you can't make it. And then we discuss it in detail. And then we discuss any challenges you've had and any things you're working with right now. And I help you customize it for yourself. So it's a new year. Are you clear about what you want to have happen this year? Do you have a plan? If you don't have our goals program, put goals below and I'll send you our entire goals program and you can learn how to set those and achieve those. If you're serious about growth, do some one-on-one coaching with me. I promise you it'll be very different from anything else you've ever experienced. If you want to help people get healthy and stay healthy versus just feeling better, I can not only help you do that, but I can help you get waitlisted and get paid really well for your services. But you gotta be able to put in the time, the energy, and the effort. You gotta really want it. It's not easy, but I can help you do it. So if you're serious about that, go ahead and just comment below that you'd like to talk with me. We'll set up a time and and see if I'm a great match for you. So I hope that helped. If you know other people that you think might find value, please go ahead and let them know about this community. Next week, we're diving into marketing, in essence, how to bring in the right people into your practice. Hope you found value. As always, much love and aloha. Bye, gang.